Hello, Webzy Wongie here. I wanted to do a video on the topic. That's something that I've had to learn just in this past year and that I am learning now. Because recently I've gotten into this Course in Miracles study that I'm doing. And I haven't bought the book, but I want to buy the book soon. It works with a lot of ideas about how our ego is and issues we have with it, and just so many things that we have problems with. And it really highlights different things. I mean, it works for different people, and just understanding it and things like that. But basically what I want to talk about is perfectionism. And it's still something that I'm still struggling with, but I just wanted to make a video about it, and how social media and just people in general don't really understand it, in my opinion. And a lot of times I don't understand it myself, but I just feel like it is a major problem today. And I think a lot of it is YouTubers. Is we strive on perfection. We strive on how can I make my video the best? How can I make myself better? When ultimately we're not. Ultimately we are just humans. We make mistakes. And I just feel like something that people don't understand, and that I'm still struggling with myself, is just because your video doesn't get large, or just because your content sucks in some way, doesn't mean you have to get noticed. And it's really hard, because we want to be noticed, we want to be liked, we want to be loved. And I just feel like nowadays and age there's this whole copyright happening, and I just feel like people go to the extreme with that. But a lot of times is people aren't authentic, and it's really hard, because you see people you admire, you love, but you're not really yourself. You're someone else. And it's a really struggle, even for me. This past year I've had to look hard truths in the face of what am I, who am I. And still at times I feel like I don't really be who I ought to authentically say I am, because a lot of it has to do with ego. I'm not saying get rid of the ego. We're always going to have to deal with the ego. What I'm saying is we have the left brain and the right brain. And one thing I'm learning about Course of Miracles is, we have to really think, are we doing this for our own personal gain, or are we doing this to help people? And it's a collective thing. It's we. And so many people, and sadly I can say it, so many people want to do things because they want to be seen, or they want to be heard. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be heard, wanting to look like you're succeeding. And that's what YouTube's about. YouTube's about creativity. YouTube is about expressing yourself. But you have to re-look at your intentions. Are you intently doing this just so you can gain something out of it, or are you wanting it to matter, wanting it to make a difference in the world? And the thing is, and I'm learning too, that it's not so much about changing the world, but changing your perspective of the world. Because the thing is, things are always changing. Our government isn't very dependable, and it's scary. It kind of is scary, because it's like, with the whole government shutdown, people are freaking out. How am I going to take care of my family? How am I going to do this? And it's pushing us to be more sufficient, and start something like a garden and things like that. And I've talked with people about that. But like, about perfectionism, I think it's an overboard um, thing that people don't really look into themselves. And it's like, when people call you out on something, it's really hard, especially for me because I have a lot of ego issues, is when people call you out on things and say you're something and they see the truth in you. That's what's hard. People who really love you see the truth in you. And are they saying this because they love you or they're saying it to hurt you? But I think a lot of times when people say things, especially the genuine people that love you, when they're saying something, it's not that they're saying it to hurt you. They're saying it because they see who you really are. But honestly, none of us know who we really are, not unless we do the work and really see ourselves at face value. Like, what are my problems? How can I not get better, but how can I improve my attitude? How can I improve something that I'm having issues with? Whether it's just negative, you're just all time negative, and it's easy to get like that. But about perfection, and one thing I learned, it's not about getting noticed. It's not about, the numbers, the views. And the thing is, perfection, no one is honestly going to get perfected. Not unless you pass away. Then, but even then, we need to change our perspective, even how we look on ourselves, because a lot of times we're negative. A lot of times we feel like we're not good enough when, we just need to accept everything about ourselves, the good things, the bad things. And like one thing I don't consider liking that people do sometimes is, and I've seen a lot of people do, is take people's content or take people's personal ideas and make it their own. And it's a lot of copyright issue nowadays where people use people their ideas. Like for me, I don't have a problem with people, looking up someone for inspiration, but there's no authenticity today. That's my biggest issue is, and it's easy to get like that. You're like, hey, this person's doing this and they got so many viewers or so many people that admire them, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And a lot of times what we get upset about, the little diddly things, it's things we can't see. And a lot of it, the things we see in life don't matter. And that's one thing that I'm learning about myself is at the end of the day, what people say, what happens, it doesn't matter. All that matters is, what can you do to not do for your own gain, but what can you do for others? And the thing is that people miss, and I'm understanding too, is, we're forgetting that this is a collective thing. We're all in it together. We're not just, this is me and my channel and this is that. No, we're all in it together. And I just feel like collectively people need to stop being so selfish. And it's easy. When you're lacking something, it's easy when you want things your way. But it's a collective thing. And at the end of the day, we're all one. So there really shouldn't be arguments. But like I was saying about the government shutdown, it's going to push us even further to reevaluate, what can we do better in our family and what can we let go of that is not really working for our family and is just worth nothing. Sometimes we waste too much money on things that don't really matter, but we have each other. And I just feel like, with how the world's changing, it's hard to look at the changes, but sometimes it's harder to look at the changes in ourselves. How can we stop doing those things or those habits that control us in some way, and it's easy to get like that. It's easy to want everyone to love you. And the truth is, everyone does love you. And I heard this quote recently. Everyone does love you, but they just don't know it. So you got to think about that. You know, people that you've had in the past, bad relationships or bad issues, you know, even Hitler. I'm just going to say, even Hitler, you know, he was a man who, you know, did a lot of evil in the world, but also, too, he succeeded at what he did. You know, I'm not saying what he did was good, but we got to look at it. At the end of the day, he was only human. Yeah, he did a lot of horrible things and caused a lot of problems and stuff in the world, but, you know, we just gotta look at it from a collective standpoint that, you know, these haters that hate you or people that despise you, they love you, they just don't know it. Because the thing of it, when, you know, I've never encountered dying. I had a weird dream last night. People were dying. I've never encountered dying, but I know in some way when people do die, there's this unity. You know, everyone's at home, everyone's at peace, and I don't think what we think heaven is, I don't think it's what we think it is. I just think at the end of the day, you know, we're all human. We're all going in the same direction. You know, some of us may have different beliefs, but I just feel like we need to let go of our pride and let go of our, not so much let go of our ego, but just look at ourselves from a realistic standpoint. Like, who are we really? Are we just a phony? Are we just playing the games? You know, who are we really? Because that's a hard question when you ask yourself, you know, who are you when nobody sees you? In your mind, you know, who are you? Anyways, about perfection, and I'll close with this. It's still something that's hard for me because I want everything to be in order. I want everything to be perfected, but nothing until, you know, you die is going to be perfected. But the thing is, time and space, you know, there's really no end. There's really no beginning. There's only the now. And it's like, I think people forget that. And I'm learning that, you know. You just have to focus on the now. You have to be in center, in heart space. So, anyways, that's enough talking. I just wanted to just say something that's been on my heart about can't even say it right. Perfection. Nothing really at the end of the day is going to be perfected until we get out of this old, disgusting body. Anyways, bye-bye.